Your home just got hit by a fire or hurricane, and now it's unlivable. Where do you go? A hotel? Who's going to pay for that, along with all the other damage? How are you supposed to keep your life moving when everything's been turned upside down? Hi, I'm Kyle Staggs. I'm a Florida attorney who helps homeowners navigate property damage claims. And I've seen firsthand how stressful these situations can be when you're left in the dark. In this video, I'm going to walk you through one of the most important and often overlooked parts of your policy, Coverage D, also known as loss of use. I'll break down what it is, what it can pay for, when those benefits kick in, and how long they can last, so you can protect your family, your routine, and your peace of mind. So what exactly is loss of use coverage, and how does it help when your home becomes unlivable? Well, as I mentioned, it falls under Coverage D of your homeowner's insurance policy, and it's designed to help you manage the extra expenses that come with being forced out of your home after a covered event, like a fire, hurricane, or major water damage event. The main part of this coverage for most homeowners is called Additional Living Expense, or ALE. It covers the necessary increase in your living expenses so that your household can maintain its normal standard of living while your home is being repaired or replaced. That means if you're suddenly having to pay for a hotel or rental property, something that you wouldn't normally do on a day-to-day event, those extra costs may be covered under ALE up to the limits of your policy. There's also something called fair rental value, which may apply if part of your home was being rented out and becomes uninhabitable. In that case, your policy may cover the rental income you're losing. But in most cases, when a homeowner is displaced, ALE is the part of Coverage D that really matters. And understanding how it works is key to getting the support you need after a disaster. When it comes to ALE coverage, one of the first and most important questions is this: is the home actually unlivable? Because that's the threshold your policy requires before these benefits kick in. Now, the extremes are easy to figure out. If your home completely collapses, it's obviously not fit to live in. On the other hand, if you just have a broken window, that's not going to qualify. But the truth is, most ALE claims fall somewhere in the middle, and that's where things get tricky. Your insurance policy typically uses the phrase, "not fit to live in." That's the standard. But what does that mean in real life? It's not just about whether the building is standing, it's about whether your home can safely and reasonably support your normal way of living. Let me share an example from a client that I represented. Her home had serious water damage and mold. The mold was visible, the smell was unbearable, and she had pre-existing health conditions that made the environment very dangerous for her. She filed a claim, but her insurance company denied her ALE, saying that the home was still technically livable. So she did something very smart. She got a note from her doctor, and it said very clearly that due to her medical condition, she should not stay in the home. We gave that documentation to the insurance company during the claims adjustment process, and they ignored it. However, that same note became critical later on when we questioned the corporate representative under oath during a deposition. They had no explanation for why it was ignored. That same documentation helped us settle her case, and my client received her full compensation, including her ALE. So here's the takeaway. If you're being told your home is still livable, but it's clearly not for you and your family, document it. Whether that's through a contractor's report, a home inspector, or a doctor, get it in writing. Your insurance company does not get the final word on what's safe for you and your family. So let's say your home is unlivable and ALE applies. What exactly are you entitled to? That's where your policy's promise to maintain your normal standard of living comes into play. Your homeowner's policy says ALE is meant to help your household maintain its normal standard of living. That doesn't mean luxury, and it doesn't mean that you should be downgraded either. The goal and the purpose is to keep your life running as close to normal as possible while your home is being repaired. So if you can't live in your 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom home, Your policy should cover the cost for you to rent a similarly sized 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house. But here's something important. ALE only covers the additional costs that comes from being displaced. For example, food typically isn't covered because that's something you'd normally be paying for anyways. Same goes with your mortgage or your utilities. So what does ALE help with? Things like the cost of a short-term rental, when you're forced out of your home due to a covered loss. But it's even then not a blank check. As a practical matter, I always recommend this. Be reasonable. Let's say your home was that 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house, and you can find a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom rental that meets your family's needs for the short term. Go with that. You're not giving up your rights by being flexible. You're simply removing one of the biggest things the insurance companies like to argue about. Because here's the reality. The insurance company may try to challenge your entire ALE claim if they think that your rental is too big or too expensive. And honestly, it's usually not worth fighting at that point if you can make a slightly more modest rental work. Choosing something reasonable from the start removes a major area of dispute and keeps your whole ALE claim on track. More importantly, you're the one who pays for these costs up front. ALE is only reimbursed after you've incurred the expense and submitted proof. So overspending too early can put you in a tough spot financially. This is the time to survive and stabilize. Find something that's safe, clean, and functional. That's the smartest way to protect your ALE claim, your finances, and your peace of mind. As I previously mentioned, ALE is only paid after you incur the expense. It is one of the most important and unknown things to understand about additional living expense coverage. That means no upfront checks, no advance payments. You have to spend the money first, then submit proof, and wait for reimbursement. That means documentation is everything. Make sure you get a signed lease agreement and keep a copy of every rent payment you make. If you pay by card or check, hold on to those statements. If you pay in cash, get a receipt. Every single time. Without that paper trail, your claim can stall or be denied. Now, a question I get all the time is this. What if I stay with friends or family? And I get it. That's often the fastest and most comfortable short-term option. But here's the catch. If you're not actually paying rent, then you haven't incurred anything. And under the terms of most policy, that means there's no ALE reimbursement. It's also important to remember that just because you've signed a lease doesn't mean that the insurance company will pay for the full term. ALE is only reimbursed for the shortest time reasonably necessary to repair or replace your home, or if you permanently relocate, the shortest time you need to settle in. So even if you lock in a 6-month rental, let's say, they may only cover a portion of that depending on how long the repairs should have taken. And finally, there's a limit to what you can recover. Look on your declarations page of your policy. It's one of the first 5 pages. You'll see a dollar figure listed next to coverage D. That's your maximum amount for all loss of use coverage. Once you hit that number, the insurer stops paying, no matter where you are in the process. So here's the bottom line. Incurred means paid by you. And if you can't prove the payment, you're likely not going to get reimbursed. Document everything, your lease, every rent payment, every receipt. Be strategic, be organized, and protect yourself from surprises down the road. As I said, your policy only covers ALE for the shortest time required to repair or replace the damages to your home. That might sound simple, but in real life, it's anything but. Let's say the repairs on your home take 8 months. If the insurance company believes those repairs should have been completed at 4 months, then they may try to cut off your ALE benefits, even if the delays were not your fault. Maybe the contractor ran behind, materials were delayed, or the insurance company dragged its feet on approvals. Unfortunately, none of these reasons automatically extend your ALE. That's why it's critical to document everything. Track your repair timeline. Save every communication with your contractor and insurer. If there is a delay, get a written explanation, especially if it's due to labor shortages, permitting issues, or delays caused by the insurance company itself. Your policy is supposed to cover the reasonable time it takes to get back on your feet. But in the real world, insurance companies often try to stop ALE payments before the work is done, and that can feel like a second loss. You're already out of your home, dealing with repairs or delays beyond your control, and now you're being told your time's up. That's why it's so important to document everything. The more clearly you can show that your timeline was reasonable, the stronger your case will be if the insurance companies tries to cut things off too soon. All right, we've covered a lot. What ALE is, when it applies, what it pays for, and how long it can last. You've heard what to expect, what to document, and what traps to avoid when navigating this part of your policy. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's this. Your insurance policy is there to protect your standard of living, not just the structure. But the insurance company isn't going to offer those benefits freely. You have to understand your rights, act early, and support every part of your claim with solid documentation. So be reasonable, be organized, and don't wait, because the sooner you take action, the more options you have. If you're dealing with a damaged home, delays from your insurer, or just want someone to walk you through your policy and options, I'm here to help. Use the contact form on this page to schedule a consultation. Whether you're mid-claim or just getting started, I'll help you understand where you stand and what steps you can take to protect your rights. I've seen firsthand how stressful this process can be, and I've seen the same mistakes and disputes come up time and time again. That's why I do what I do. Again, I'm Kyle Staggs. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I'm here to make sure you recover what you deserve when it matters most, and I'd be honored to help.